that was not clickbait. All of this here replaces my iCloud for my iPhone, and you can do the same in quick time, very easily, and save a boatload of money on a yearly basis. So in this video, I'm going to cover how to do this for both Windows PC and macOS. Let's get straight into it. Alright peeps, so here we are on the Windows desktop. Now here are the current two storage devices, the system drive of course, and the external USB drive that you saw me set up for this example. We're going to want to first go into Control Panel. So go down to the search bar, type in Control Panel, then we'll want to go to Network and Internet, then go to Network and Sharing Center. Then you're going to want to change Advanced Sharing Settings. And then you're going to make sure to turn on these two options here, Network Discovery and File and Printer Sharing. Next up, you want to go back into Settings again and go down to About and make note of your device name. You're going to need that. Windows is a bit tricky. The device name here is not always the true name, especially when it comes onto your login name. Also, I didn't mention this before, but you can also use your IP address instead of your device name just to keep it simple if you want to ensure that it is correct. Now, to get this information, you're going to want to go to Search and just go to Command Prompt. Then you're going to want to type in who am I? That gives you the true name. It may differ from your device name. Note that. If it's the same, doesn't matter, you're good to go, at least you know for sure. To find out your IP address information, you simply type in ipconfig. Press enter. And there you'll get your IP address. It is the IPv4 address that you really care about more than anything else. So you can use either your IPv4 address or your device name. However, Windows is a bit tricky yet again. If you used a Microsoft linked sign-in such as a Hotmail or a Outlook address to actually log into your PC, that may not work all the time. So the best thing to do is to actually create a local address on the PC. Now to do this, simply press Windows or Start and R to bring up Run, and then you type in this netplwiz and you press OK. Then on this window you should see user accounts. Your Microsoft login address is usually here, if that was what you used to log in. Right now I have both that and the local address that I use for my server. Now if it is not there, if you haven't set this up as yet, you're going to want to press Add. Then you're going to want to press sign in without a Microsoft account. They're going to say not recommended, but whatever. Then local address. Then you enter your username, password, and of course you confirm your password. You put in a hint if you need to. Then you press next, and it's pretty straightforward after that. Then you press finish. Then the name should be here in the list of users. Next up, you're going to want to give permissions to that new local user that you created. So you're going to want to open File Explorer. Then you right click the storage device that you're going to use for your network. Go to Properties, go to Sharing, go to Advanced Sharing, then Permissions. Now, the new user most likely would not be here. So you would click Add, then Advanced, then Find Now. Then you will scroll down until you find the new username that you just created and either double click it or select it and press OK. Doesn't matter, either one works just fine. Then when you come back out here, you select the new user that you just created, then select full control that allows you to have full access and read and write privileges to every file that you copy onto the network. Then you press OK, and that's it. Now take note peeps, when you get to the iPhone and you're entering the credentials, it's the same for both Mac and the PC. Just make sure that you have the true name or IP address for the PC and use the local user. So whatever you have as a local username and the password that you had set for it, that is what you will enter. And that's it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Going forward, I'm actually going to do the Mac next, but that's about it peeps. It's that easy. And this is not clickbait, as I said. You could do this in 5 minutes or less. That easy, peeps. And save your ass a bunch of money. Alright, so here's my Mac OS desktop. And here are the 5 drives that I currently have connected, forming my home network, aka my home iCloud. And where you want to go first is go down to System Settings. It should bring you to the General tab, which is where you want to be. You're going to want to check About first, where you want to take note of your system name. Take note of that. I have it blurred out for obvious purposes. And of course, your login name and login password. If you haven't set up your login information yet, I highly recommend that you do for security purposes. Now we're going to want to go back out of About and head down to the Sharing tab. And this is what you want to turn on mainly, File Sharing. Ensure that that is on, then you press the I beside it and you come to here. Of course, you ensure that file sharing is on, and depending on your setup, as I said before, it's just Wi-Fi and I. So I have turned on allow full access for all users for the sake of simplicity. However, if you have multiple users, you share your household or in a dorm setup or whatever, you want to of course restrict your users on a drive by drive basis or for all drives. So everything here in yellow are the external drives forming my home network. Of course, you would add more if you need to. And here are the users. Currently just going to be seeing me because I have it set for all users. And if you want to add additional people, you press a plus sign here and you select from the list of users that you have set up on the Mac. If you don't have additional users set up, you'll have to manually do that in settings where you add additional accounts, but it's just Wi-Fi and I. You would select the additional user there and press select, and they would populate the listing here. Let me just do that actually. Let me just do that. Press select, and there she is. And then you would change it from read only to read and write or write only or whatever. Also, one important setting as well, go to options and ensure that share files and folders using SMB is switched on. This is very important because this is a methodology that the iPhone uses to connect and share between the network. And that's it, peeps. You're done. You're done. This is even easier than Windows because everything is in one place. Here in general, just check about the name and they change the settings in sharing. And that's it. Pretty simple. Now we're moving on to the iPhone. See you there. Alright peeps, and now we're on the iPhone. And right here is the Files app. Jumping straight in. Now right here under locations in shared, you'll see that network globe. And beside that will be your computer or Mac name, or it can be your IP address. So now we're going to add the network. Mine is already there but blurred out for obvious reasons. But first you're going to want to press those 3 dots in the top right hand corner beside browse, and then you want to press connect to server. Then type in this SMB colon / and then it will be either be your IP address for your system or your system name. So an example of this, if it is called, for example, Matt's MacBook, and that means Matt's with an apostrophe S space MacBook, you don't put the apostrophe, you don't put a space. It would be like this, .local. You'll of course have registered user, not guest, because you will be the main admin, and you'll put in your username and password that you use to log into your system. So you should know that already. Afterwards, it will be connected and would be shown under shared right there under locations. Now, just to open mine, for example, they are the drives that are on my network, aka the iCloud that I spoke about. But everything here is fully connected. Okay, so running an example, I'm going to be going into one of my drives here, and here's my dummy folder here, photos backup, that I've been using to test. And really and truly, you can create folders in here if you so desire by holding down on the screen. You can add a new folder if you want. I'll call this test. Okay, so coming over into the Photos app here, this is one of my folders here with my phone wallpapers. I'm going to be using this as an example. It's the same methodology for both photos and videos. All you have to do, just press select in the top right hand corner. If you want to select multiple stuff, let's just select a bunch of them. And what you can do, hold on one of them, and you see them fuse into that little clump that you see the 10 over. You swipe up and you move across into the Files app, and you just drop it into your test folder, and there it is. It's importing them, and that's about it. Now, it depends on the network speed, of course, how long this will take, and of course the file sizes. But this is pretty much it, people. Working live in living color. This is copying it directly to the drives. This is the same method for PC. There's no difference, none at all, and works for all file formats. So something of note there. And here there are all of my screenshots that I copied directly from my Photos app. Okay, coming back to the phone wallpapers folder here, I'm going to select a few more images here, and then I'm going to show you the longer way of copying them to the network drive. So you're going to be pressing that share button at the bottom left hand corner. Then you can either choose to copy photos or save the files. It really doesn't matter. So let's just copy photos there. Sometimes you may see it load and say downloading because it may be downloading them directly from iCloud. Then you come back over to the test folder, hold on a random spot somewhere on the drive, and then you press paste, and then it will paste them. So you have multiple ways of doing this. And that's about it, guys. Simple as that. It's not as seamless as iCloud, and there are some drawbacks, some limitations that I will get to shortly. But this is it. This is my home network. These drives are terabytes in size. Now, the limitations. Limitation 1, which is not so much of a limitation because there are solutions for it with asterisks. Automation. Now with iCloud, things automatically back up to the Apple servers, right? Now with this, as you saw, it is completely manual so far. But you're going to see me going into shortcuts now, where you're going to be seeing my setup here, automations. Yes, one of the more powerful stuff that iPhones can do. So you press the automation tab here. Here is my automation that I currently have set up. It's currently disabled, but now I currently set it to whenever it connects to my home Wi-Fi, it does all of this. It finds my photos folder, my photos app. Then I tell it which album. I currently have it set to my recent album. The date taken, which is within the last day. You can set this to whatever you want. You can add multiple filters, multiple rules. I just kept this one simple. And then, you know, I set it to copy my videos and the pictures to the drive, the specific drive, which as you see, save converted image to test. Converted image is because I actually wanted to convert them from their HEIC or HEIF standard iPhone format to JPEG. So it converts them to JPEG, saves them as JPEG on the drive itself. And this is just a simple setup, peeps. So whenever it connects to my network, it automatically backs up. And the sky's the limit in how you can actually edit this thing. But if you want to have a simple setup to start from, you can copy my shortcuts setup here. If you don't know how, let me know in the comments, and I may consider doing a video showing how to set up this automation. And the sky's the limit yet again, peeps. You can do anything you want. However, there is a limitation, a hard-lined limitation that Apple has set to this thing. It has an aggressive app killing thing that always happens. So when this is initiated, if you have a ton of stuff, like gigabytes of stuff to back up from your Photos app, it may get cancelled because after a while it's gonna kill all background processes aggressively to save power in the name of efficiency and whatever. And then you'll get an error message. It won't copy everything, and it will only copy up some of the stuff up until when the iOS kills it in the background. And yeah, it sucks. But that's the only real limitation. But the automation works perfectly fine otherwise. If you want a less technical, less involved way of doing this, you can download this app called PhotoSync, which when you go in there by pressing that top right hand button there, you can actually just at the touch of a button literally let it back up everything based on the rules that you have set in the settings itself. And as you can see, it has a ton of options for configuration. Look at that, tons of stuff, right? It's a very cool app, very user friendly, very reliable and very snappy. However, it's not exactly free. It's cheap, like $8 for the year. For the pro version, the premium and or whatever the other tier is above it cost a bit more, but it's a one-time payment, or you can make it subscription if you want, just to test it out. They give you a free trial. And yeah, it works a bit smoother than the Shortcuts app at a cost. However, it's the same limitation. iOS aggressively kills things in the background once it's not something that Apple themselves allows to run in the background. So you will still have that same stupid error whenever it is running for a while. But if you just want to back up like a few images or videos per day or per hour or whatever the amount, just keep things in small bites, it will work flawlessly. And that's about it, peeps. All right, peeps, and this is it. Here is my iPhone and here is my Mac, and those are the network drives that I showed you before. Now, just to show you guys, going back into this specific folder here, the WDSSK photos backup and the test folder. Let it load there. Those are the phone wallpapers that I copied over. Now coming over to here, the WDSSK right there. Here we are it again. Photos backup, test, and here they are. 1, 2, 3. So all the images are there. Right there as you see them on my phone and on the drive. So it works flawlessly. Now, another key thing to note that I should have mentioned, forgive me peeps, it's a lot of stuff to remember for this. Your system must be on or in rest mode. For Windows devices, this one here, it will have to stay on constantly, or if you have some way to wake it up from sleep, but it has to have power in some shape or form to allow the system to wake up to access the drives. For macOS is a bit more, well, a lot more efficient in that regard. For the Mac Studio especially, it has a lot of wake on demand, so to speak, whenever it needs to access the network. So let me just show you in settings actually. Let me just check that quickly. Let me show you. You want to go here in energy and then ensure that these are on, wake up for network access, and start up automatically after a power failure. Very important if you want to ensure that this thing is rock solid and doesn't get randomly disconnected, especially if you're in another country and not coming home for a while and need access to your drives. This one especially ensures that the system comes back on in case there's a power failure, and this one allows it to actually wake up on demand for you to access the network drives without actually fully pouring on the system. So very, 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 very energy efficient. And the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio and Macs overall sip power. We're talking like a couple of watts, especially when they're asleep. So very power efficient, and that's also why I've chosen to use the Mac instead of a Windows device, more or less also because I also owned one. But just to let you guys know, it is my system of choice for this setup also, and I highly recommend it. So that's it. A few tidbits towards the end there. You guys saw the pros, the cons, the setup. I don't know if I missed anything, but any questions you have, hit me up in the comments below and I'll fill those gaps for you. So that's about it, peeps. Thanks for tuning in. You don't know, I'll appreciate a like, subscribe, and of course, hitting that little notification bell so you know when the next video is out. See you in the next one. Peace out. Take care.